Sharon and every first day of school for the past 15 years sounded exactly like that for me. And a lot of you sitting here too. My name, our names, being dissected syllable by syllable as if it were a complex medical specimen rather than a human identity. I would sit there watching the teachers' eyes narrow as they hit the SHIJU, and I'd feel that familiar, quiet ache of being a phonetic puzzle that no one really quite wanted to solve. When someone mispronounces your name, they aren't just struggling with words. What they're unfortunately doing is inadvertently telling you that you don't quite fit into the rhythm of the room. But standing here today, I realized that my name wasn't really the problem. The problem was a lack of translation. We often think of translation as something that, we do for the books or for the movies. But what we often fail to realize is that the most important translation happens in the human heart. I am a daughter of immigrants, a woman whose history is written in the great in-between. I was raised in Doha, a city where the skyline, where the desert meets the sea, living on a steady diet of impossible Bollywood dreams and the smoky, salt-heavy scent of shawarmas from the corner cafe. My life was a symphony of contradictions. I woke up to the beautiful Arabic call to prayer echoing across the skyline. But I went to sleep to the beautiful, gentle, rolling Malayalam lullabies that my mother sang to keep our ancestral roots alive in the dry Gulf heat. I lived between spices that smell like home, but skylines that never really quite felt like mine. In 2004, my father arrived in Qatar with exactly one suitcase and a heart full of faith that God could turn movement into meaning. This story would probably resonate with a lot of you sitting here as well. My mother followed, leaving behind her homeland, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice, just so that their 3 daughters could stand taller than circumstance. But what being a third culture kid, what no one really tells you about it, is that your height and mine comes at a price. You grow up learning that fitting in and belonging are 2 very different things. But to belong, that is to be seen. In 2017, I remember I had the opportunity to attend the WISE Education Summit in Doha, an amazing platform where you could discuss education for the underprivileged with global leaders. I met Ms. Michelle Obama, former First Lady of the United States, and I remember having a conversation with her. I felt small, a messy translation of 3 different countries. And I remember something that she looked at me and said at that point of time. If you don't define yourself, others will. That sentence stuck with me. It was my first lesson in empowerment. I realized that my diversity wasn't confusion. It was my fluency in humanity. Fast forward to today, I am a 5th-year medical student at RCSI in Bahrain. I am one of the first-generation physicians in my family. I spend my mornings navigating clinical wards and evenings arguing with my Desi mom about how anything from Vicks Vapor Rub and turmeric milk can cure anything from a common cold to a broken leg. You could also argue that your medical degree is actually just the formal endorsement of things that your mother already knew. In med school, we spend years memorizing the anatomy of the heart, the mitral valve, the left ventricle, the rhythm of the SA node. But textbooks don't teach you that the heart has a language beyond its beat. They don't teach you that a patient's chief complaint is often a story wrapped in a dialect of fear. As a woman of diversity in a white coat, I've realized that empowerment in medicine isn't just about the surgical steel that you get to hold in your hand. It's about the cultural humility that we as healthcare professionals are supposed to be carrying in all of our hearts. It's the courage to listen beyond the language, beyond the language a patient is speaking. Because healing, like humanity, has no accent, no passport, and no single color. When we embrace the beauty of our differences, we don't just treat symptoms. We connect souls. We move from being just mere technicians of the body to being translators of the spirit. So, from Indian roots to Bahraini wards, I have learned that life is strongest when it is translated with love. I vividly remember a woman that I met in the vascular surgery ward here in one of the local hospitals. She was elderly, her hands weathered by a life I could probably never imagine. The doctors were discussing her symptoms on one side, her prognosis, her vascular insufficiency, but she wasn't listening to any of it. She was looking at the door, her eyes full of a grief that had no medical code. I didn't need a textbook to translate that look. I recognized it. It was the same look my mother had in her eyes when she missed her homeland. I sat with her. I didn't talk to her about her arteries, I didn't talk to her about her veins. I just listened to the silence she was holding. Behind each accent, each scar, and each diagnosis, there is a story waiting to be understood. As Shah Rukh Khan says in Kal Ho Na Ho, Jio, haso, muskurao, kya pata kal ho na ho. Live, love, laugh, smile. Who knows, tomorrow may never come. That isn't just a movie line. It's a medical reality. We owe it to our patients and to ourselves to really see them today. Because in the ward, as in life, tomorrow is never promised. Empowerment is the moment you and me, we stop apologizing for the space that we take up. It is the moment we realize that the different perspective isn't a barrier, it's a bridge. So, my challenge to each of you sitting here today is to move through the world with the heart of a translator. Sharon, how do you do that? First, stop trying to fit in. Belonging is a birthright. Your unique accent, whether it's in your speech or your way of thinking, is what makes the world's conversations worth having. Second, listen beyond the language. Whether you're a student, a CEO, or even a neighbor, the most important part of what someone's saying is usually the part that they're too afraid to put into words. Third and lastly, define your own narrative. Before the world tries to mispronounce your name, speak your own name with so much love and clarity that they have no choice but to learn the rhythm of your soul. So, I am Sharon and Shiju. I am the daughter of immigrants who carried their dreams in a single suitcase so that I could one day carry a stethoscope. I used to think that being a third culture kid meant I was a broken puzzle, missing pieces from countries all over the world that I've touched. But what I realize now is that it is my superpower, and now all of yours too. Because when we finally learn to listen beyond the accent, beyond the scar, and beyond the diagnosis, that is exactly where healing begins. The world doesn't need more people who fit in. It needs more people who are brave enough to belong to each other. And I and you, all of us, we are proof that when we learn to listen beyond language, healing begins. Thank you.